Yesterday was a pretty intense day for me, right? I woke up around 5 a.m. And yesterday I woke up 5 a.m. straight to work. When I finished that work, we had to go to like move some things over. So from there, straight to the moving over. Then after we're done with doing that one, back to going to deliver stuff. And from delivering, going to sell and this, that. So it was like a pretty intense day. I could generally say maybe I worked 12 hours or something like that. Right? A lot of hours, intense hours, and it was mostly physical labor. So most of the tasks I do daily, they are mostly physical stuff, not necessarily mental. So it's not like I was just sitting in one place and typing on the computer for hours. I was like actually moving around doing stuff. So it was very exhausting, and that's just an example. But a lot of times you go through stressful periods like that, and you have this urge to share. You have this urge to tell people about it. And from my own opinion, like from my own experience, I found out that telling people isn't as valuable as you think. Like people would argue that so when you're feeling, when you have something bothering you, you should share it with the world, which I think is a good idea, which you kind of should, but at the same time, a lot of times you share and you just realize that nobody cares, bro. Literally nobody gives a shit, right? Like everybody cares more about themselves than they care about you, which is like a normal thing, right? It's like I'm always going to care more about my own problems than I'll care about yours. No matter how serious your problems are, like I'll always care about my own first because I am me. So it's like life sucks, honestly. Like day to day life is not really as interesting. Like I know we all like to give this optimistic view, like life is a gift and you should live life to the fullest and you should be grateful you're alive every day. Which I'm not saying you shouldn't. You absolutely should. But that doesn't take away from the fact that life still sucks. That doesn't take away from the fact that life is still hard. That doesn't take away from the fact that you wake up and have difficult days, a lot of days, especially if you're not like in the best position you want to be, if you're not that rich or you're not, advancing very well in your career, or you're not doing the things you want to do every day, or you're like stuck in a job or whatever. Like life sucks every single day, right? It's like having to pay bills, having to make money, having to hustle, having to grind, having to find like love or whatever. Like it sucks, but it seems that nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. Like at the end of the day, your problem is your problem, right? It's like it's just how it is. Because I remember another little story I would tell, maybe earlier this month or maybe sometime last month or whatever. I felt kind of sick, right? So like me and my students, we all like felt sick at the same time. So, but it's like it's happened maybe day after day after day. So the first day one person fell sick, then the next day the next person fell, then the next day the next person fell, right? And when I fell sick, I still have to like go about my day and do my daily activities, right? Because I'm sick, I can't just be like, oh, I'm sick, I'm not going to do anything. Like, unfortunately, I don't have that privilege anymore, which is very sad. Like, if you're still young and you still have that privilege that you can take a day off, like, oh, I'm sick, and you can actually just sit at home and do nothing all day. Like, that is like, bro, maximize that shit because that shit is going to go away very, very fast. So, anyways, I felt sick, but I still have to like rugged it out. I still have to go to and do day-to-day activities. But the point I'm trying to make is one of my other students now told me like who so my sibling was supposed to maybe they're supposed to do their own chore on their own task or something, but because they fell sick over so they couldn't do it, so nobody helped them do the task or the chore. So when they recovered they were like, oh, I fell sick and nobody helped me do it. And it's like made me realize because I told them that yeah, I also fell sick and you also did not come and help me do my own stuff, right? Like I still had to stand up even though I was sick and do what I had to do. So, but that little interaction made me realize that nobody, like literally nobody gives a fuck about you, bro. Like life sucks. You could literally fall sick and go through the worst things, and people would not still care, right? You could, and that's one maybe like somebody that also fell sick. But sometimes it could be the case that nobody felt like maybe the other person didn't even fall sick. They just would not still come and help you. They just would not still care. Like, and it's like right, like rightfully so. Right, it's not their problem. Like they're not the one that said you should fall sick. Right. So it's like you have to at the end of the day, get your ass off, put yourself together, and just do what has to be done. Nobody gives a fuck about you, bro. Nobody cares. Nobody is like, maybe maximum your parents, but even then, especially when you start to become like an adult and all that, you start to get older. Like nobody, and if you're a male, especially if you're a female, obviously it's like both for adults, male and female, but it's like for males, it's more like the intensity is much higher because like you're like a man, you're like a guy, you're supposed to be who have like so life sucks. Nobody cares. I think at the end of the day is for you to just pick yourself back up, no matter how difficult the situation, no matter how brutal, no matter how hard, no matter how inconvenient, no matter how stressful, no matter what it is, you just have to. At the end of the day, pick yourself up and just do what has to be done because nobody is going to come and do it for you. And nobody even gives a fuck. Like that's just the sad part about it.